Good evening, everybody. It's a little bit after 7, so we'll go ahead and get called to order here. First of all, how's everybody doing this evening? Everybody fine? Right. So coming up this next time around on next Monday, invocation will be by Mr. Tommy Belcher. Are you good with that? All right, pledge to the flag will be Beverly. You have that? Thank you. And then at this point, is there any announcements that need to be made before we get started on the work session? No? Okay. At this point in time, this being the last commission meeting of the fiscal year, several items they're going to be added on Monday. All of our financial officers have been reviewing the respective budgets, and there may be some more amendments that need to come forward, just to have that to be considered by everybody, if you will. The citizens' response to agenda items. If there's anybody here that would like to sign in to speak, now's a good time to do so, and we'll call you to the podium at the proper time. All right, moving on. Mayor, do you have anything for your report on this evening? Do you have anything to? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our active business for this evening. So there's several items to be addressed this month on appointments area. If you'll look at the handouts, there's some handouts that everybody has that'll be addressing those. Those are omitted. They are omitted from the original packet. Please refer to the handout when we get to those revised agenda additions. Those are some things that we'll have to take into consideration. Library Board, Planning Commission, etc. Do we have any questions on that before we move on? Okay. So we'll start here with resolutions. 2025-06-824, which is the per diem increase for our volunteer units. And you're going to find that on page 8 of your packets. This has been recommended by First Response Services Committee and Budget and Finance Committee. This will raise our current per diem for our volunteer fire and volunteer rescue units to $50. Is there any questions regarding this? Any discussion? Yeah.
Just a point there to this piece. Budget and Finance did, in case this went forward, appropriate the funds that we estimated this to take in the budget. So in other words, if this per diem pay goes from the 30 to the 50 per call, the money has been allocated to the correct line items to cover that and favorably recommended by Budget and Finance. So that money is there.
Thank you. So that does come with a favorable recommendation. The next thing that we'll be considering next Monday will be the resolution 2025-07-825, which is our county road list. And this is just our annual list of our county maintained roads. Is there any questions regarding that? Nope, I see none. Moving on. The next thing to be considering next week will be resolution 2025-08-826, which is to continue our budget operations. And this is just a routine thing. You're going to find this on page 21 of your packets. And this is due to the fact that we do not have a budget. If we do not have or will not have by the 30th, this resolution will just allow our government to continue to operate under the existing budget until we get one approved for the next fiscal year. Okay, any questions from anybody on that regarding that? Moving right along. When we get to ordinances here, we have 5 rezonings to be presented. 4 come with a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission, and 1 comes with an unfavorable. And Ms. Myhan, could you please speak to each?
So the first one that we have is the rezoning A1 to C1 on Highway 25 East. This one does have a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. It's keeping along the lines of commercial properties along Highway 25. I gave you a handout that gives a better indication of what the property is. If you would look for the exhibit, that it looks like an L along Highway 25 East. And this is being asked to be rezoned by Jean Carmen IV and Helen Nicole. and it is 1.06 acres. This piece of property does not perk, so it is not a buildable lot.
When you say not a buildable lot, my apologies. The interesting question comes up, we're going to commercial property on a non-buildable lot. 300 yards from the Smith County line.
The intent, and he looked to see what the allowed uses were for a C1 piece of property, is to have a parking lot on that piece of property for those that
Ms.
could
Mahan,
commute.
intent is not something we vote on. Commercial, what could be allowed on a commercial property?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Thomas.
talking about it through planning, that is about what, I mean, so you could do storage buildings on that facility, you could do a parking lot, but you couldn't do any business that would require a bathroom or any water, because it doesn't perk.
Does anybody have any further questions regarding this? So that clears it up. So there cannot be anything that would require water. Does that answer your question, Mr. Gully? Sounds like storage buildings are a parking lot. Okay, so that is 2025-08. So would you move on to 09, 2025-09, please, Ms. Mayan? You'll find this on page 28 of your packets.
So this is a rezoning A1 to R1 on Highway 141 North. This also received a favorable recommendation. This is being brought forward by Cass Beasley at 1275 Highway 141 North. This parcel of land does have, I believe, 94 acres, and he is requesting to rezone 11.9 acres. You'll see in your packet, there's several different exhibits. The first exhibit is the one that is the corrected exhibit, where it has 7.3 acres at the top and then 4.6 acres below that.
Yes, Chris, go ahead.
Just notice on here, the ordinance has it rezoning the entire 94. It doesn't say anything about 11 point whatever.
Ms. Mahan, can you address?
They're just requesting to rezone the 11, not the whole parcel, just the 11.
Does that answer your question, Chris?
Can we get an updated version of this ordinance then, or just the ordinance needs to be updated? Like I said, the ordinance says it's rezoning the entire 94.
I will ask to have that updated and also ask for a legal description of the properties being rezoned, as to being rezoned.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions regarding this one? Okay, moving forward, will be ordinance 323-2025-10, which is rezoning R1 to C2 on East McMurray, which is going to be found on page 34 of your packets, Ms. Mayan.
Yes, this is being brought forward and asked to be rezoned by Peggy Hicks. It is the corner of McMurray Boulevard and Turner Drive. This received an unfavorable recommendation. There were quite a few citizens that did voice their concern. The reason why it received an unfavorable recommendation was because that Turner Drive is a very narrow road and would cause some traffic concerns. And there is not much property there to have access off of McMurray Boulevard.
Yes, Mr. Gully.
So the property doesn't have access to McMurray Boulevard?
Repeat that, please.
The property does not have access to McMurray Boulevard.
No, it fronts, the driveway is off of Turner Drive. They would have to get a T-Dot highway entrance off of McMurray, and there is quite a bit of a ditch there.
There's been a significant amount of concerned citizens over there that's been worried about that particular situation. So do keep in mind that that does come with an unfavorable recommendation when we come forward on this. Moving forward, we will go to 3/24/2025 11 rezoning R2 to R3 on Morrison Street. Ms. Mayan?
Yes, this is the second time that you have seen this property. I have passed out a new exhibit for you. They are looking to rezone just 4.7 acres of this 10-acre parcel to R3. This whole parcel currently is zoned R2, so they'd like to take just that property along Morrison Street, that road frontage, and have it rezoned to R3.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Nalder?
I don't have a question, but I do think that that Morrison Street's awful narrow. About only one vehicle just about can travel it, and I don't think it needs any extra housing up there or whatever because the street's so narrow. There'd be an R3 and you can put a bunch of apartments and stuff on it, so I voted no, so whatever y'all want to do.
Does anybody else? Chris?
Question, and I guess for Rosalie or Mr. Thomas or Mr. Nolan, since we're both on planning, this being in my district, I'll certainly reach out to those folks and ask their opinions, but did anyone from the area speak on this at planning?
No one did sign up to speak to that other than the person representing the owner. So none of the neighboring property owners came.
Commissioner Thomas?
So this was brought to planning a couple of months back, as Rosalie stated, and it was withdrawn from rezoning before it ever got to this body. At that time, the owner was looking at rezoning the full 10 acres, doing single family homes across the top on Morrison, and then apartments across the bottom. Finding out that it was going to come out of planning with an unfavorable, he withdrew that. I then was discussing with him after the meeting about the possibility of us passing a PUD zoning, which would have allowed him, instead of an open zone R3, to actually bring forth his idea and get his rezoning done on the idea of what he was presenting, what he has now. Because that process has taken longer than he thought it would, or even I did, he's bringing in this back and just doing it in sections. So the first part is just R3 for just the top part, which is under 5 acres. The idea of having R3 up there is because of the widths, getting the setbacks and whatnot to be able to put single family homes there. We've had to do that across the street for other refurbishments to make those lots, help me out, Rosalie, what's the right word? Conform.
Conforming law. Mhm.
So that was his reason of wanting to go R3 across the top. Currently, he has not subdivided the lots, so this would just be a rezoning of the 4 acres, although it shows individual lots there. When Jim Carmen brought this to us, it would depend on the topography of how they were going to have to split that up. But he's trying to get as many houses across there as he can.
I do believe that leaves us with 3/25/2025/12, which is a rezoning of A1 to R1 on Walnut Grove, and you will find this on page 42. Ms. Rosalie, if you could speak to this.
Yes, this property is owned by Robert Whited, and he is asking to have this rezoned. It's 7 acres, 7.36 acres to R1. There has been a lot of rezoning of property along Walnut Grove for R1 properties. His intent is just to subdivide into 2 lots. And that's to really all the soils that he has available to him to do is 2 lots.
Commissioner Gully?
Ms. Mayan, you brought up an interesting point right there. Generally, our map gives us zonings, and I know there's quite a few this month, so I understand why that might not have happened. But in the one prior, are there like R3s adjoining this property, adjacent to this property? We don't have that on this map. Can you provide that for us next Monday night?
Yes, and it would be R1s. Yes,
Every-
sir.
I'm on the map prior. Back to the Dennis Goak on Morrison and
I'm sorry. I thought you meant Walnut Grove, but yes, sir. I will definitely let you know in the vicinity where all the R3s are.
thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Rosalie regarding this Walnut Grove? Okay, moving forward then. Thank you. The next thing up here is some budget amendments. I'll let you know that the majority of these are end of year cleanups.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead,
Before we
sir.
get into the budget amendments, I do want to bring to the attention of this commission, as they're considering these rezonings. It was brought to the planning commission's attention at our meeting by Heather Bay, the chairman of the water department, that they had received a letter from the state stating that Trousdale County had met its limit on our water treatment plan. They are had not had a chance the water board to meet. She was going to be having a meeting with them this following week. That might be something interesting for this body to know, since if you don't have a water tap, you can't build. And that will affect future growth for tax rate. And although you can rezone a property and not build on it, but we're gonna have to be looking at that too, as we're looking as both in planning and both in this body, as we're doing a bunch more residential and high density.
Commissioner Gully?
When you said met the limit, Ms. Bay mentioned in their budget hearing night that we sell water to multiple other areas. So maybe there's water available for our community, just we're selling it to another water department or water district. If that's what we're talking about, that we've met our limit on water treatment plant availability, or is it number of taps in the county? That's quite confusing to be brought to the table, because she's stated well that we sell at a discounted rate to a couple of water utilities.
Yes, sir. And in the conversations with her, she made the statement that night that the site plans that we approved in planning would be the limit of what she was comfortable agreeing to taps for. So I don't know if that means we have to withdraw from providing to those others for our own growth here, or if that speeds up the process of having to build a new water treatment plant. But the letter said that we were at capacity for, as Trousdale County is now.
Ms. Rosalie?
Yes, sir. We are a unique county because we have multiple utility organizations that service our county. Lebanon Water also services our county, but it's over there on Beasley's Bend. So when we say no more building, if it's out on Beasley's Bend, it'll have Lebanon Water and they would be able to service them. Just wanted to point that out.
Eastern, or is it the western end is Castilian? South is the Castilian Water District then?
So Bethpage Castalian Springs is they receive water from Hartsville.
Oh, they receive water from us.
They do.
Right. I used to be, so yeah. But we're selling them the water. So yeah, that could be an interesting thing. Mr. Mayor, you have anything on this?
Well, I think because we're in a unique position by being on the river, that the possibilities and opportunity for us, if we go ahead and do what we need to do politically to get some firepower in here to get the grants necessary to build that new water treatment plant, we're in a unique position to provide water not only for the county, but for some other counties too. We certainly have to think regionally anymore. And because of that, I think we're in a favorable position to get the funds we need to go to do that. And as they say, it would solve a multiplicity of problems. So we're working on that. And I think the water department will address that this next meeting.
So The problem I'm hearing is we were just told the water department chair of the board said they weren't going to issue any more taps, if I understood that correctly. So we're talking about a solution that's well down the road
I
before.
think, excuse me, Mr. Gully, I think it's being a little bit, I don't think we need to be speaking for the chairman of the water department at this point. I think let's wait and see what she says, what the water board says.
Yeah, we are doing a meeting, I think, next week, so then that'll definitely be a topic.
That's a strong statement to say there will be no more water taps. I think that's a little premature.
Does
It would
anybody else
seem to
have
me
anything
that,
on this?
it would seem to me that would be cause for some kind of panic, and that's not necessary at this point.
Understood. Commissioner Thomas.
And I was merely bringing the information brought forward to this committee from that committee. That's what she said. And she did say it reluctantly, and that she was going to be meeting with her board this coming week. So hopefully you'll have more information by the time we have our regular commission meeting on the severity of that situation.
Just so you know, that meeting is public. I encourage you all to attend. So I know I'll be there. So anybody else have anything on this topic? Ms. Judy?
Where does that leave us in rezoning to R3s if we don't have full information?
Right now, we're not going to be able to issue or debate anything on that, but we will get some more information next week to clarify. That's what it is. Right now, all we have right now is vague. It's all veiled in vagueness. So what we'll do is we'll get some clarification and be able to
Before
bring
we
back.
vote next week. Or I guess we could vote no and
With-
put it down the road.
The water board does meet the day after, but I think we're okay where we are at this juncture. I think moving forward, we'll make sure we get some more clarification for everybody. Chris?
Can we get Ms. Bay here either in June or at our July meeting or maybe at our July work session to brief us more about this issue?
We can certainly request. I don't think it'd be a problem. Mayor?
I think Mr. Gully's point should be well taken, that if it means growth in our county of some kind, controlled growth is what's preferable, that we have the option of not selling as much water to make water available for our county.
100%. Is there anything else on this topic before we move on? Anybody have anything? Okay, moving on, we will be moving to budget amendments, as I just mentioned. These are, by and large, the majority of these are cleanup, end of year fiscal year cleanup. This will be considered next Monday. At this time, I'm going to go down through these and I'll let Commissioner Gully speak to these. We'll start off with 101 General Services. So 101-24, which is end of year cleanup, which is on page 48. Mr. Gully?
Certainly. Budget and Finance went through these tonight. All were considered together. None were fund balance draws. There was one grant, Enbridge, giving money to the fire department. But all were considered together. They were all pretty clear end of year movements. I think there are two that have been added. Did everyone have that on their desk, Miss Amy? Okay. You should have two that were added, both from the 141. Two additional.
Those are both in the handout. That'd be 141-17 and 141-18. Those are included in your handout.
If you want me to go over it individually, we can, but they were all approved favorably. There were no questions
With-
on any.
Yeah, with that, if anybody would like to have something explained further, we'd be glad to entertain the conversation from Mr. Gully. Otherwise, I will tell you that with electronic voting, these can be considered and approved in one motion next Monday. Does anybody have any questions or anything regarding these? Thank you very much. So we're going to have a placeholder at this juncture for fiscal year 2026. What this means is that pending discussions from Budget and Finance, Ms. Thomas will take the appropriations that's sent forward and she'll be able to plug those numbers in. You just be looking for emails and some hard copies. They'll be coming up. You'll be able to pick those up at the county clerk's office when they're available. Then we'll have some called meetings coming forward to address the budget in short order. Just let you know there's a placeholder there for that. We'll have a list of notary for next week from Ms. Crowder. And the new applicants. Is there anything that needs to come before the commission this evening at this work session? Commissioner Gully.
Just to be clear on one of those placeholders, there was a motion from Budget and Finance tonight to set the Trousdale County tax levy at $2.09.
Does anybody have any questions for Commissioner Gully regarding? Jerry, would you like to bring something forward, just so everybody hears it? What you just said, would you state that so everybody can hear what you just said? It is page 35, 36. I can barely hear you. At this point in time, has anybody signed up for public comment? I don't see anyone. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Brian, I can't see your light.
You're fine, you're fine.
Go ahead, sir.
Basically over the increases, I know it's not on this agenda. I know it's coming to this agenda, to the next agenda, but just to make everybody aware, EMS is not going to be getting an increase off of what was passed tonight. Every commissioner in here needs to be aware of that because they are highly upset right now. And this is probably going to affect our county this week, next week. It's just kind of sad. I mean, we took, I believe it was 2 cents away from their budget to fund increases for the school, certified staff. They wasn't allowed to get a,
It was not for certified staff. It was for coaching supplements.
oh,
That was correct.
I stand corrected. They came in the green. They wasn't approved for an ambulance remount. We got 2 ambulances that run. Most of the time they're tied up on Core Civic. Look, I'm all for everybody getting a pay increase. I will always be for an increase for people. But when it's stated at one of these meetings, we're almost playing Russian roulette with departments. It's really making them upset that they're being left out, especially when they do provide a service. I just want everybody to be aware of that because it probably could cause some problems here in the next few weeks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody have anything? Commissioner Thomas.
Yes, I'd really, based on what Commissioner Crook just stated, I would love to hear his proposal for how much he wants to raise the property taxes to pay for these increases.
Mr. Crook,
I don't have any calculators or anything in front of me. I got a phone. I can go through and try to go through all the numbers that Budget and Finance has done. I will say this, presenting something that's not going to benefit the ones who provide our services, you're turning it around on me as being me against taxation to try to justify not giving a department an increase in pay. Y'all are playing too much with the people that provides you services in this county. You're playing with the sheriff's department, you're playing with EMS, you're playing with everybody. I'm not going to speak out of turn because I don't know what the tax rate would be. I don't have those numbers in front of me. But I can tell you right now, I'll vote against my own pay raise when it comes before me.
thank you, sir. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything for this evening? Motion to adjourn? Second by Jerry. All in favor? Have a great evening. Be careful going home, everyone.